Hello, everyone, and welcome to our first ever post-launch stream for Age of Empires 4. To all of you in chat, thank you for joining us and welcome. Today we're going to be talking about not only the recent launch of the game, but we'll be jumping into some developer discussion with our Relicans, Quinn Duffy and Eric Roble, as we cover some of the roadmap that was released earlier today.
Yeah, and we're going to introduce him a little more later, but for those who don't know, Quinn Duffy is the game director for Age of Empires 4, and Eric Roble is the balance lead. So, got a couple folks joining us, as Grant mentioned, to talk about just pretty much our post launch. Like, it's been, we're going to be sharing a bit of the current state of the game, our recent updates we posted onto our socials and website and blog and forums, and all the channels we have, as well as what's next for Age of Empires 4.
Yeah, and it's crazy to think, honestly, that the game's out there already and you're all playing it, and just how excited everyone is. We're seeing so many players. The game is just you all seem to be having a ton of fun. So thank you not only for playing, for being here on the stream, but yeah, just for sharing all your feedback with us as well.
Yeah, and of course, if you're not aware, as we just mentioned, this is the post-launch thing because Age of Empires 4 is out, so you can get it on Microsoft Store, Xbox Game Pass for PC, as well as Steam. And honestly, we hope you've been enjoying the game so far because for us, it's been amazing for us to see all the to see all the people jumping into play, all the streams we've seen, all the content that's been out, all just the amount of people just jumping into play. And it's only been under 3 weeks, and just seeing the amount of people jump playing, it's just been great, honestly. And obviously for us, just because we launched the game doesn't mean that we were done. Like pretty much since like minute one of launch, we've been monitoring our data and telemetry, feedback, discussions, bug reports. You can see that we've done a lot of bug tracking on the forums, for example. We have our known issues as well. And yeah, so it's been pretty much like through all facets of the Age of Empires community, we've been tracking and just again collecting feedback. It's that's how much we are just making sure that we're getting stuff over to the dev team so that they can be well prepared and ready for us as we continue to move forward. As some of you saw today, we did post the roadmap update today, right, Grant?
We did, and I know that's something people have been wanting to know, where the game is going, what the future of Age of Empires 4 looks like now that Age of Empires 4 is here. Obviously, the road to launch, everyone's like, where is the game? Where is the game? I want to get my hands on it. And now it's, okay, the game's great. We're having fun. What's next? And so, yeah, we
Yeah,
were able to
exactly.
show a bit of that roadmap today, and we'll be talking a little bit more later on stream.
For sure. And if you're not a member of our other like our main channels, like Age of Empires Discord is our official Discord, for example, where we have over 45,000 people that are in there talking all things Age of Empires. And this is just not for Age of Empires 4. This is for all our Age of Empires franchise titles. Age 1, 2, 3, 4, Age of Myth. That's all part of that. As well, like, if you've found any feedback for the game or found the bug, obviously our team would love to hear it. Best place to share that kind of stuff is on the forums. That is where we are most active and mostly where we are tracking all things, both feedback and issues wise.
Yeah.
So yeah, forums.ageofempires.com.
Yeah, and for the Discord Elliot mentioned, that is the franchise Discord for Age of Empires, so all of the titles are covered there. You can go through, you can react to roles, and you can basically see the channels you care about and that you want to see. And you can see on the screen there's a QR code. You can scan that if you want, or you can go to just discord.gg/Age of Empires. Yeah, and definitely come join the community. It's quite a large community and it's growing, and we've just been loving seeing everyone in there sharing their feedback. It's also a great place for people who are trying to organize matches, make their own tournaments. Like, it's just a place to be with other Age fans who love the game and want to talk about it. So definitely join there if you haven't yet. Forums, also a great place, and where we love seeing your feedback and bug reports in the forums there. So those, yeah. So basically just come join, come say hi. Yeah.
Mhm.
And so today, as I mentioned, we are talking about we're talking about kind of the roadmap later, along with some of our developers as a bit of discussion. But we do have some actual content we also want to share with you. Some of it's stuff you've seen, some of it's stuff you probably haven't. All of it is really cool. I think you're gonna like it. Hopefully you do. It's gonna take a little bit of the first bit of our show today, and we're just gonna hop in, let some of this content play, chat a little bit about it, and then we'll have Quinn and Eric on a little bit later. So yeah, we just want to give people who are joining as well some time before we talk about the roadmap, just to make sure everyone has time to get on this stream here. So
And sorry, Grant, I
yeah,
know
go for
we
it.
were going to share a lot of stuff on the end. I do notice the chat is talking a little bit about a specific exploit. For those who don't know, we are aware and we are investigating on this end. So this is specifically to do with a specific tech in game that you can get from the university. So we are aware of it. Team has vetted it and they are investigating on this end. So yeah, and yeah, basically as Ashley has said, we are monitoring chats. So if you have questions and
Correct.
stuff, please send them forward. We're not gonna be able to answer everything as always, but we'll try our best, especially once we get Quinn and Eric joining us later in the stream.
Yeah, and just part of the whole reporting feedback and all of that in the forums is super helpful to us is because the scale of players that we have. Realistically, the number of you playing the game right now is far beyond what's we've tested. Like, it's far beyond
Ah,
anything we've had. So like
well,
the scale
I
of
can
this
say like
data is insane.
day one hours beat the entire dev team's hours, like
And that's just
that
the
we've had
nature
in
of
the
that.
entire project. We've had an entire project. Day one already beat us.
Exactly. It's just the nature of scale. There's so many of you playing so many games all
Yeah.
the time, and that our team. We'll hear more from them a little bit later, but they love all of the data that they're seeing. They love being able to have this to see how things are performing and seeing your feedback as well. So definitely keep that coming, keep the games going. But we'll get there a little bit later. Probably a good time to hop into some of this content. What do you think, Elliot?
Yeah, let's get going so that the faster we get through this, the faster we can get over to Quinn and Eric.
Yeah, so this first clip, I'll just give a little preamble and then we'll just let it play. It's a bit longer, runs around 10 minutes, a little bit shorter, but it's a behind the scenes look at some of the principles and processes for the audio team here, the music, voiceover, and all of that for Age of Empires 4. So it's our dev diary for music and voiceover. Some of you have seen it, some of you might not, so we want to let this play. Do enjoy this, and we've got more videos and our discussion coming afterwards. So here you go, everyone, and enjoy.
Hi, I'm Lynn Gardner. I'm the music lead for Age of Empires 4. My role encompasses the music direction, so the overall musical soundscape. I realized pretty early on that just working with one composer wasn't going to cut it because the outline, the plan was unique music per civ. The music ages up, so there's 4 ages per civ. So that's a lot of content, and I've been working with 5 different composers simultaneously. 4 of them all belong to one stable in Germany called Dynamedion, and one other composer, Mikolai.
My name is Mikolai Stravinsky. I write music for media, but I'm mostly known for writing music for video games.
So my name is Tilman Zelescu. I'm the creative director of Dynamedion and the lead composer. You know, for composing for films, it's like one line and one thing happens after the other.
As opposed to telling a story like it is and helping to tell the story like it is in a linear media, you create environment for the gameplay, the sonic environment for the gameplay.
And composing for games, it's much more a challenge because it's very complex. It's like almost like an architect.
If I'm an architect, big games like Age of Empires, it's like building a skyscraper.
because every little cue and transition and intro and outro and stinger, everything has to relate to each other.
Music has always been a big part of the experience in the Age of Empires franchise. Instead of the jukebox presentation that people might be familiar with from past titles, we introduced a fully dynamic and interactive music system that helps adapt the score to the action on screen.
So obviously for a video game, we're talking about interactive music, which is essentially having the music delivered in bite-sized chunks that can be played back in different game scenarios. Building a city, exploring the world, you're going to hear the music. It's pretty calm, it's pretty chill. And as soon as you engage in any kind of combat, what happens is different values drive up different layers to play back. So if there's just a small skirmish, the music gets more tense. Then if you get in large combat, the music then flips to like a much more bombastic combat soundtrack. And then to even, if you get in huge combat, we have like a fourth layer again, which is the icing on the cake kind of thing. So what we have are these combat values which are driven by the number of units in a certain radius. And as soon as they're driven up or down, based on the combat, the music layers will kind of interactively come and go.
The more interactive you make it, so that the more reactive you make the music to what the player does. You gotta learn to compose in bricks, in sort of movable bricks. So this is what's happening in the game. You take one gameplay element and you attach a musical change to it. And then the music is affected by the external factor coming from the gameplay. You know what I mean? It's how it affects the overall composition.
It's not a bad thing to be limited as a composer. Oh, I will only use one classical violin and compose 30 minutes of music. This is a kind of limitation, but it's great.
And we've also used Dynamedion for the orchestration and the live recording production.
My name is David Christiansen and I'm orchestrator. An orchestrator actually writes the score for the musicians. We recorded in Budapest and the decision was made because we had very good experiences.
We have been there to record the English, and we, for all the other civilizations as well, to record orchestral stuff and some solo instruments, because they have lots of good solo instrumentalists. We had the Chimalong player recorded for the English civilization, and he did a lot with his instrument. We tried to get different sounds for the different ages for him, so that for age 1 it really sounds like a very not sophisticated instrument, and in age 4 he could play it mostly like it's played today, but we experimented a lot with that. Yeah.
We have such a dedicated and professional group of audio people here at Relic that really put their heart and soul in. It was just an exceptional experience to see them dedicated and passionate about this game and really see the results at the end of it all.
One of the key pillars of the Age franchise is historical accuracy, because we want to celebrate history with an unbiased voice. And to achieve that goal means doing a ton of research, working with diverse subject matter experts, and constantly making sure that we are telling stories and illuminating history in a way that will stand the test of time.
Du liest ja immer das hier, ne?
Ja, ja. Bereit! Marschiert, Armbrustschütze!
I think it's pretty good. The voice was there the whole time. It's
Yeah.
to make sure we get the projections.
The vision for this project, as far as the voice acting and the kind of the speech in general, was to two things. One was to give a sense of progression of language through the ages. An important part of Age is to show and track the progress of civilizations as they move through time. And we wanted the language to reflect a really similar ideal.
An incredible amount of pre-planning and work went into researching these historical languages, and each language kind of brought up its own little roadblocks and challenges. But by establishing a process, we're able to lean on our experts working alongside them to build these scripts.
English changes dramatically over the timescape of this game. It also changes dramatically over the last 1,000 years. And the history of English is one that is as culturally fascinating as it is linguistically. It's one thing to translate English into 12th century English or 10th century English, but pronouncing it's a whole nother game.
What's interesting to me is going to a place and working with people that speak the modern language regularly, how different or how similar the language is.
Ja, daarin.
Ja, daarin.
Een ordentliche Marsch.
Ein ordentlicher Marsch.
Because it varies from region to region. It's fascinating, and people get to discover the roots of their own language if they weren't familiar already, and also they can see how similar it is in some ways.
It is a unique opportunity to be working with these languages in such a way that doesn't come around that often, where you get to script out the evolution of it and you get to see it.
Hestes.
Yes, sir.
Hestes.
Undiete.
Seeth the Hestes.
Aye.
Hestes are coming.
Ichil.
And the real magic comes in taking those simple lines, those modern lines, and asking the historical experts that we work with to interpret that and put that in historical languages.
Even just simple statements, aside from jokes, simple statements like move your formation to the left or formation ready. You've got words such as formation, which are sort of commonplace in military jargon today that just didn't exist in the medieval period.
For every language, we worked with specialized translators, people with a lot of experience and kind of knowledge of these modern and historical language roots.
Games like Age of Empires 4 is a wonderful way of introducing people, not only young people, but people in general, to the past. What I hope that people get out of a game like this, in addition to having a great time, is an insight into how cultures change, how language and cultures change, but also more broadly about how medieval cultures are interrelated and entwined on a global scale.
All right, so we're back from watching over that music and voiceover dev diary there. Definitely. So I see you in chat, it's...
One person in chat, I just have to address this.
All right.
Apparently, I got someone asking, are we going to be seeing the man, the legend, Quinn Duffy? Yes, Quinn Duffy is joining us later in the stream in a little bit. Him and Eric Roble will be joining us. Quinn, who's the game director for Age of Empires 4, and Eric Roble, who's the balance lead for Age of Empires 4. So yeah, but anyways, back to the point of what we just saw here.
I remember the first time I watched this, and it's so satisfying. Like I've played the game, I've heard what our team has done and how we've done some of the sound stuff, but watching it in this, it's just, I have so much respect for the craft they have. Like just the amount of detail they went into to making historical accuracy so much, even like the instrument playing it like almost like clumsily or like old fashioned versus bringing it into the modern age. Like the thought behind this and the composers, everyone we've worked with was absolutely amazing. And so this video shows off the English civilization as the focus. However, our team did work around the globe with international experts. So it wasn't just the people you saw in this video. We met with a lot of them, and composers, and translators, all of this.
It's also not just experts that we worked with. We also worked with voice actors, composers, orchestras, like music, single instrument music players, like around the world. So it was a truly global effort to do our sound design and music for the game.
Yeah, and it's great. Like I love seeing in chat people saying that they really do appreciate the sound, and like it's one of those things you don't necessarily think about when you play a game for the first time or when you're thinking about a game is the soundscape, but for that immersiveness of a battle, you really do want that, and the layers of how things go as there's more people attacking you, to have that that anticipation build up. It has such a feeling to it. And also you see all the stuff in chat, everyone's like Yaru, all the people find their phrases they fall in love with, and it's great seeing come in there. I've seen just a few memes as well, some screaming birds and all of that. But yeah, so that's what we've done for the English. We've done also this for all of the civs. So again, as Elliot mentions, we've worked with pretty much all sorts of people around, and just to make sure that we have amazing sound for the game, and that it takes you into the battle rather than detracts. And that's the biggest thing, is when sound is done right, you maybe don't even notice it's there, but when it's done wrong, you feel like you're like, okay, this is pulling me out, it's too something. But for Age of Empires, you have that feeling of like grandiose, epic battles, and it's so well done and unique for each civ. And then for stuff like voiceovers, that was something as well. We had all the voiceover actors we worked with. We had them in front of screens watching some of the game footage, doing all of this stuff, like, and making sure that we have the historical accuracy, but then also, as was covered in the video, the progression of language over the ages, because that is essential to Age of Empires. It's the ages are so important, so we wanted to show that progression. So sometimes if you hear some of the audio for the earlier ages, it might sound different than what you're expecting. You're like, wait, this is wrong, and it's not. It's just not what people are exposed to when they think of languages around the world. It's going through that historical accuracy and going back there with our experts. So that was this video. This was the longest one we're showing off today. It was just something we really wanted to get out there to show the amount of work that the people at Relic, the people that we've been working on, not just Relic, but the experts, everyone we worked with, to show the amount of work and the amount of passion they have for their craft to bring that soundscape to the game. So we do have a few more videos. Obviously, people at launch, there were some things going on around the world. I'm sure some people have seen a certain car parked somewhere it shouldn't be. Elliot, was that your car? Did you park it there?
Yeah, I flew over to New York City and
oh man,
accidentally left my car in Times Square. And then something
happened.
Like, you should
maybe
show them what happened.
let's show them what happened. We had a nice little takeover. So enjoy this next little clip, guys.
So I was walking home from work,
and Age of Empires took over Times Square.
I stopped by because there was a huge rock on top of this car.
There's augmented reality. And there's people dressed in costumes.
Make history your story!
All right, so that was so epic to see Times Square taken over. I remember watching, even going and loading up some of like the webcams of Times Square to see the skyscrapers, the billboards everywhere taken over. It's crazy. Just a few small ads for the launch of the game. Definitely the biggest hype for any game I've ever worked on myself personally. I don't know about you, Elliot. Have you ever taken over Times Square before?
No, never. Just the sheer scale of it too. Like, right? Like, again, considering how much foot traffic and how much crazy, just general eyeballs there are in Times Square, like
yeah,
very cool.
Definitely. Yeah, and so we won't stick too long for each of these things we're showing off. We just want to share them with you because the ones we have now are some stuff you might not have necessarily seen. So we're going to just breeze through these. So we did have a number of launch events around the globe. So New York Times Square was one of them, but we have another one from Sao Paulo, Brazil. I'm just going to play that right now, and we'll be right back. Enjoy, everyone. All right, so that was so cool seeing the projection mapping. I always love seeing those. I know not for Age of Empires, but we've had similar things for projection mapping here in Vancouver, and it's so fun to see. It's just such a cool bit of tech there. And that was actually the city hall of Sao Paulo, Brazil. We're going to power through. We just want to make sure we have time for our guests to give you as much time as possible with Quinn and Eric. I know chat is wanting to see Quinn, Eric as well. They're both always great to have on stream. So we're going to show one more video. We're going off to Piccadilly Circus, everyone. Enjoy. All right, so that was just some of the stuff that went around the world. There were definitely different events in all sorts of places. It was really cool to see. We don't have time to show all of it, but there's definitely more. If there was something where you were, if you saw something, definitely share it on social. But let's get ready to get some of our guests in here. Elliot, what did you think? What was your favorite of those?
Of those, like honestly, it was kind of cool with the Piccadilly one specifically because my brother and his fiance are out in the UK, and I didn't tell them that it was happening, but they were heading to work, and they said I started getting messages. I think it was like 1 o'clock our time, because obviously they were 7 hours ahead at that point, and they were like, "Yo, like what is this?" And they just started sending me like, "Look what we saw." I'm like, "Yes!" Like being able to just get like like my brother, like bless his heart, like he loves playing games, but he doesn't play much PC gaming, so. But like just for him to pick up on it and send it over was really cool. So that one personally for me was a nice touch.
Awesome. All right, so let's see here. We've got all of our guests here. Let's see if we can make sure they're all around. Let's see. Quinn, you are here. Eric, I see a potentially frozen video. Let me.
Frozen video.
All right.
Holding really still.
Oh man, Eric, that's some good practice. I told you to wait till you're live, but you can. Oh, Andy's give me 1 second. We're gonna see if we can bring Eric back. He disappeared into the void. I'm not sure what happened. All right, there we are. Welcome back, Eric. I see you.
There he is.
Guys, we went over this. You're supposed to pick a bird call if my camera's frozen.
No,
there were no bird calls.
All right. So obviously, to everyone in chat, we're now in the dev discussion portion / yelling at Eric because he's disappeared into the void or is gone. But welcome back, Eric. Glad you managed to escape the void there.
I think it happens like every 15 minutes. So if this section takes longer than 15 minutes, I'm just gonna.
All right, we will keep an eye. We will make sure you're all good. If not, we'll leave you frozen. Everyone can just stare at your nice frozen face.
It's carbonite.
Exactly. So yeah, for everyone joining, thank you. This is kind of our developer discussion. We've got Quinn Duffy and Eric Roble from Relic Entertainment along with us. We'll let the two of you kind of just talk a little bit about what you do.
Okay, what do we do, Eric?
What would you say you do here?
Yeah, what is exactly TPS reports? I mean it varies day to day. So as the project goes on, we're working on the creative. I'm the game director on the project. We start on the creative, and then we do the development, and then we do the launch. And that's kind of why we're here talking, because we sent it out to the world a couple of weeks ago on the 28th of October, and so far it's been really exciting. Definitely the smoothest launch we've ever had at Relic. We are also told it's the smoothest launch that Microsoft's had. I don't know if they're just saying that. I choose to believe them.
If you hear praise, always believe it. That's the best thing, right?
Yeah, it's been fantastic. I think the seeing people play it, seeing people enjoying it, is hugely validating, and that's one of the things I think as developers we really look forward to.
Totally. It's kind of interesting when you're like not before we had launched, but we were really close, right? And we worked really hard, and we were really proud of what we had done. But we didn't know how the fans would receive it, and this is such a beloved franchise that's been going on for so long. So we really wanted, and we're hoping that we would make them proud and make a game that they just love to play as much as we loved to. So it's just been really exciting, seeing the game launch and seeing so much excitement and people just having so much fun playing the game has been super cool.
Yeah, I think that the tough part about launch that we have to deal with as developers is that a lot of our work was kind of finished up several weeks ago. So we've actually, we got the game that's ready to go, and then we start looking at things we know. We start looking at additional beta feedback. We start planning our releases and our patches and all those kinds of things to try and get as much stuff as done up front as we can, so that we're kind of ready. And then the next part of it is sort of reacting to community feedback and issues and things that come up, and how quickly we can act on those and get things fixed and out to the community.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to future patches because we've been working on refining and improving the process for getting patches out to people. So it's going to get better and better in the future, and I'm just really looking forward to all the awesome stuff that we have planned as well for all the future updates. Is very cool, very exciting changes for people.
Yeah, for sure. So obviously, launch was a big moment for not only players, but all of us on the team as well. For the two of you, what was it like on launch day? Did you enjoy watching launch? Were you stressed out? Were you just scouring everywhere, reading everything?
I was.
Yeah, definitely. There's all of that.
All those things.
Go ahead, Eric. You go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, my sort of like favorite part from all the launch day stuff is watching all the content creators. Because, sort of before the game came out, you're always like watching these videos of all the previous games and be like, oh, I hope they'll talk about our game like that. I hope they'll make videos about our game. And then actually like seeing all the, cool videos people make, like, I'm a big nerd. So when they pull out their like notepad and start writing like timings down for like, at 1 minute, I'm going to build this unit, and in 5 minutes and 30 seconds, I'm going to make this thing. And I'm like, awesome. But then on the other side of it, there's, the videos that people come up with where they get like the perfect conversion and they just take like a massive army of elephants, and then the person's just like, oh man, that was crazy awesome. So yeah, there's been a lot of really cool moments and really enjoyed just watching people enjoy the game.
I had a slightly different day. I mean, obviously, a few days before the game launch, we started to see reviews, and we started to see the Twitch and YouTube videos and the content creators playing the game, and that was super exciting. But like day of launch, I think we had a 7 a.m. meeting. The game went live at 8 a.m. if I recall Pacific time. So we were in a meeting with a bunch of people at Microsoft and watching the thing go live. And I think it's like those scenes in NASA movies where they're watching the countdown and the rocket going up, and once it gets I don't know, hits like T-2 minutes or whatever, people are getting kind of nervous, and you're just waiting for the thing to finally turn itself on, and then it launches, and you have to wait till it gets up into the atmosphere before people kind of breathe a sigh of relief. We had there's no major issues emerged, and we had 3 or 4 days of like solid back-to-back meetings booked. I think by the second day we were down to just an hour or two, and then they're like, we'll skip the weekend, there's nothing major happening. Like, I mean, we're talking like things exploding, right? We know there's issues, but not like servers blowing up, those kind of problems. And so
people who play the game catch on fire.
Yeah, that would probably be bad for us. We'd have to definitely hotfix.
That'd be a very, very hot
fix.
Sorry, I had to. Yeah. But yeah, I think that just spoke to the a lot of work the team had done in the weeks leading up to launch. We had those technical betas, right? And we looked at stability issues, and we looked at our how the networking was working, and there was a lot of stuff put in to the game behind the scenes to make sure that stuff works properly and works smoothly on launch day. So there's a tremendous amount of work by the engineering team and Relic Link and people at Microsoft to make sure, and World's Edge, to make sure that game was going to be smooth at launch. It wasn't an accident.
Yeah, and huge props to those teams. Obviously, when we had the stress test and all of our betas and all of that stuff, we have a lot of players, but at launch, the scale, again, as I talk about scale, like launching at that scale is such a different thing. To have the servers stand up to that and to have all of these people all at the same time without anything crazy going on was absolutely amazing. Like, they did a great job, and it's so nice to see that. Like, just, I've seen so many other games out there where at launch, it kind of catches them off guard, the level of players you're going to see, and it's so awesome that we were able to keep that going, and like, people were in games playing the entire time.
Yeah, and something we can just quickly touch upon. I know that we got a lot of feedback from not just the closed beta, but also technical stress test. A lot of work went in between that and launch to make sure the game, as Quinn mentioned and Grant mentioned, to make sure the game was as stable as it can be. And we saw the numbers from that, right? Like we've been it's pretty smooth launch in terms of game stability and such, and that was all due, as Quinn said, thanks to the dev team. Now, I feel like this is a perfect transition to talk about patches and updates because of the feedback we got from there. Eric, do you want to touch a little bit about what is coming up with the roadmap that we had announced today? Grant, I don't know if we should show that first and then talk a little bit
I've got
about
the roadmap. I'm going to toss that on, so it'll be the roadmap image with all 4 webcams. So we're all still on camera, everyone. No disappearing to the void, Eric, first, please.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know, man. This is risky. It's probably gonna be frozen when we come back.
All right, so yeah, I've got the roadmap up here. Obviously, we know everyone's really excited about the future of Age 4, so this kind of, today when we got this out, gave you a bit of a peek at what that looks like. As a note, these are, of course, our current plans. Development's an always evolving kind of situation. It's full of surprises. All sorts of stuff can come up. So while this is what we're announcing that we're focusing on right now, there is always a possibility of things to change. So this is, again, roadmap. Who knows what happens? You might take a different, like, roads change, paths change, all this, but this is roughly the target we're going for here. Yeah. And so as you can see, the patch that's been released there has it's definitely not, it's got performance fixes and system updates. However, the winter 2021 update is coming very soon, and I think that's something, Eric, you can probably talk a little bit more to, but it has over 100 balance updates. I feel like it's probably kept you a little busy.
Yeah, I mean, I like to think of this winter update as an early Christmas present for the Age 4 players, because we have a ton of stuff in here, and there's quite a large number of balance updates, but there's just like a huge number of bug fixes in general, like gigantic, massive number of bug fixes, as well as balance to a slew of different areas. And the article talked about a couple of those areas, but in general, I think first it'd probably be good just to talk about, like, in general, like, what are we trying to achieve with balance, and, like, kind of like our general vision for it. And what we want for players is that there are not critical path strategies, that players don't do the exact same thing every single time. They feel like they have a lot of different options, and they all feel like they're valid, and they could be, strategically successful. Do I want to try to do like a fast tech? Do I want to try to fast expand, or do I want to get a big army and rush the enemy, right? Like, we want all of these paths to be available for players. And so when we make balance changes, we're either bringing down one strategy that's too dominant, or we're bringing up and buffing strategies that aren't useful or dominant enough. So we're constantly sort of tinkering with the end goal of having tons of different options and cool strategies for players to pick, and they can choose whichever one they want based on the map or the matchup. Or I think I just froze.
You did. You are now frozen, shouting. Let's get you back, Eric.
People joining after, they're not going to get the context.
No, this okay. While we said that, actually, you say joining after. So to people watching or people who coming in now, we will be uploading this as a VOD to the Age of Empires YouTube, so you can tune in there as well afterwards. So that's going to be an option. So to people watching, you'll be like, what is going on? Why are they calling on this YouTube video being uploaded? Eric hopefully will be back. Oh, there he is. Welcome back, Eric.
All right, I'm here. Hello. Yeah. So to wrap it up, basically what we're trying to achieve, is sure, ideally it would be nice to have an exactly 50% win ratio with every single civ, but sort of the higher or more key priority is that people feel like with every civ they play, there are multiple different options and strategies that they can pursue to be successful with. And so to give some sort of specifics to that in terms of what you guys can expect to see for the winter update, for the Delhi civilization, we've tweaked a bit of how the scholar mechanic works. So at a baseline with the scholar mechanic, the more scholars you put into your mosques, the faster all your texts will research. However, we identified a problem where the civilization feels like early game, you don't have very many scholars, so all your researches take a really long time. So you feel kind of like behind starting off early game, and it also generally is just like, yeah, it's free, but it feels like the time cost is so long, it barely even like feels like a reward or a cool bonus. You actually kind of feel like you're penalized a bit. So early game, we're finding Delhi was just too weak because the research was too slow. And then late game, the civilization just explodes because there's a huge number of texts to research in the Imperial Age, and they are extremely expensive. So you get a massive power spike with Delhi when you reach that last stage. So to combat this problem and sort of to open up the number of different strategies that the Civ has available to them, we have tuned the research time so that at the beginning of the game, you'll be able to research text faster. But at the end of the game, you'll research text slower. So you'll need more scholars later on in the game if you want to have a fast research rate like you were used to. So there's sort of more opportunity costs and more investment to get those late game texts faster if that's what the playstyle you like.
Awesome.
Wow.
All right.
Any I guess just before we start shifting gears again, anything else you want to tease a little bit more? That was definitely something new that we added in. I don't know if there's anything else, Eric, if you want to give a couple more.
Absolutely. I mean, there's.
This is scary.
I don't know how long you want me to like talk for, like before you want to cut me off.
So
but like
a couple lines, just a couple lines.
Yeah.
That's it.
We have hundreds of changes. I don't want to spoil everything about all the changes, but I can certainly go through a few more real quick. So
only a few though. Only a few though, Eric. Not too much because we gotta wait for and see for the actual update.
Totally. Yeah. And it's kind of interesting. Sometimes there's a blurry line between is it a balance change, or is it like a bug fix? And some things it's kind of both. So for example, with the English network of castles, there's an issue where it's sort of applying the bonus inconsistently. And there are some units that weren't even like getting a bonus from Network of Castles. So this is the bonus whenever any of your troops are nearby, they'll attack faster when enemies show up, and you see the campfire to light the signal fire, they're coming kind of thing. So this bonus wasn't even applying to man-at-arms at all, and knights were getting a pretty small bonus for it as well. So it's kind of like the faster the units were attacking, the less bonus they were getting from it in a lot of cases. So that bonus is now applying evenly to your entire army, which is quite a nice bonus for the English civilization. So we're really, really happy, really excited to get that bug fix in. Some cool things. Let's see. So I'm actually quite excited about this RAM change that we made. The RAM unit we see a lot of it being used early and mid game, where people use the infantry to construct the rams in the field, and then they're able to attack the enemy and smash down a bunch of their buildings. But once you sort of get on to the Imperial Age, you generally don't see rams at all because it takes up 3 population, and it has to get into melee range, which is not very good because it has strong ranged armor, but actually the Imperial Age units are just so powerful they can kind of knock through that armor pretty quickly and just kind of off the rams. So we have tried to crystallize the role of the ram so that it's more vulnerable to torches and it can take more hits from range stuff, especially later. So It has more ranged armor, so it can take a bunch of hits from ranged stuff. Like most things is going to do closer to 1 damage, but it has less hit points. So that means things that have torches will be able to kill the ram a little bit faster. And then to help sort of make it so that you can build them later on in the game, they're now 1 population cost instead of 3 population cost. So it's a lot easier, like later in the game, to throw in a couple rams and not eat up a huge chunk of army space with them. So we've been seeing a lot more in our internal test games of people getting to the last age and actually throwing down a bunch of rams like with an infantry army and then assaulting that way, whereas some armies want to use like cannons instead. So it's opened up a lot of cool diverse strategies, and it's made it so that the ram sort of feels a bit more fair to early game. When you have a bunch of torches, it felt like it was so hard to get through and bust down the ram. So that change has been really good for sort of balancing out its power across all the different ages, and it's just really fun to build rams in the Imperial Age for some reason. I just really get a kick out of that. I really love doing that.
Perfect. Thank you, Eric, for a few more extra tidbits of balance things. Maybe we'll ask a couple more later on if we've got time.
I got a couple more I want to, but yes, thank you for cutting me off.
Yeah. We can't give too much right now. We will have more later. Yes, as Quinn says, like, that's enough there.
Cut the feed for Eric. Go dark.
Yeah, Eric's gone dark again. He's frozen.
Oh no, your mic muted too. What happened?
To answer some questions here, though, we had some chat about the bug technologies. Specifically, I think we're talking about an exploit that has been surfacing today. It's something the dev team is aware, and we are tracking and investigating on this end. So we are investigating what we can do on that side as well. I see a few questions here on hitboxes and selections. It is something the team is tracking and working on. So we will have an update right now, but as we get towards somewhat of an update for that, we will be able to talk a little more about that.
Yeah, selection is definitely something we constantly want to be improving, and we do have a couple of improvements for 1.2. We were able to sneak in a couple, like the relics were like really hard to click on. They had such a small.
Where's the
mute, Eric?
Pull the plug! Shut it down!
We got to make sure we get some questions going Quinn's way as well. Quinn's just over there. He's like, "Come on,
yeah,
Eric,
well,
it's my turn."
I noticed a couple of questions in the chat as Eric was talking.
Rambling is the word, really. Yes.
Yeah. Just maybe just a little bit about the process of patches and of hot fixes and other things. Obviously, we've got a new game, we've got a new environment. We're wanting to improve in a number of those areas, but the most important thing when we look at changes to the game, updates, and whether they're patches or whether they're the introduction of new features as we go through development over time on the game, is maintaining stability. That the game has to, most importantly, it has to stay up and running, and so we take that very very seriously. And so the patches go through a considerable process, and it's not perfect, right? Nothing ever is. But we want to maintain stability that so that people can actually continue to play. We would hate to rush a fix and break something and
absolutely
and have the game crashed. Years ago on some of our other games, we would do a ton of patches, but half of the patches we would do were fixes for the patches we had done previously, and we don't want to end up in that situation on Age of Empires. So it's sometimes even we have to be patient, right? We're like, let's get it done. It's like, well, we have to test the game. Microsoft has to test it. We've got Steam, we've got Game Pass, we've got Windows Store. There's a lot of different environments to work in and test against. So I hope people understand that our the most critical part of this step is just making sure that the game stays up and running and stable through this whole process.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. We don't want any downtime, right? Like, we want people to be able to jump in and play the game whenever they hop on to play, right? So another thing to mention, I think Eric had brought it up earlier, but to Quinn's point, like, we are refining the process. We do expect things to improve as we continue to go through this process. But as you can see, we've been working hard on this upcoming update on the roadmap here. Couple questions as well I have to throw over to Quinn. This is not super important, but chat wants to know what your cat's names are. While I pull the next question up.
Well, there's oh yeah, Pepper. She's the little cat, and then there's Ninja, who is the big black cat. Were they doing something nasty behind me? I didn't.
No. Just
okay.
people love cats. Like that's just what it is.
Yeah, I'm so glad because that it happens, right? Yeah, they're the kids named them, and you get a big black cat, and they called him Ninja, and it's like, okay, it's not the most. They don't have the most creative names, but now those are their names.
Yeah. So actually, another question we had here was, specifically, is like what is the process for the dev team now that like we're clearly well into now post launch? Like, what does the dev team now like focus or shift gears on, or what do they work on as we shift from leading up to launch and then getting the game ready into now we're providing, like as you saw with the roadmap, a lot of work. So can you guys dive a little more into that?
You mean your jobs aren't done already? That's not it? You're not done? There's still stuff to go?
Yeah, it's like
nobody gets any time off. Nobody gets I mean there is we started that transition earlier, as I mentioned. So there is a live team, and they will be analyzing community feedback. They're working with World's Edge. They're using the various kinds of metrics, community sentiment. They're working with the community team. They're going to keep the game alive, fresh, and support the community in terms of delivering on feedback and requested features and those kinds of things. Obviously, the balance team is going to keep looking at the state of the game and as Eric said, trying to keep the meta interesting and keep the critical paths to a minimum, and just get the game to a finer and finer state of balance and competitiveness and just interesting gameplay. Those are all critical things. And then there's other parts of the team doing other things. So.
Yeah, and in terms of like how we sort of like execute and achieve those things, it's great having you guys on the community team, to be able to constantly be seeing what people are sort of bubbling to the top in terms of like, what is it that you guys want to see? What are the impediments to the gameplay? Like, what kind of improvements do you guys want to see? So we have that angle from you guys. We have sort of our high level competitive team, that's able to analyze and diagnose sort of like critical gameplay problems at the top. And then we also have our business sort of intelligence, metrics and data and stuff like that, right? So we can see, like what are the win rates of these civs? How often is this unit being built? How many kills is this unit getting? What landmarks are people building? What technologies are they researching? So all that sort of stuff, all those different data points all sort of goes into our analysis of figuring out what are the biggest balance issues and what is it that we want to tackle next.
Awesome. Yeah, and just wrapping up kind of the winter update that we've got there as well, there's a few other things. You can go to the blog post. Someone can get that posted in chat hopefully for you, but it's on the Age of Empires website. It will let you take a little bit more of a look at what's... It breaks things down a little bit more than just some bullet points here. It goes into a bit more detail. But for things such as in-game scores, we know that this is something the community's wanted. Actually, during the launch window, I was just basically burying myself in the forums, reading not only bug reports, but also discussions, feedback, everything people talked about there. And this is definitely one of the things we did see people asking about is the in-game score, having it as an option. I know not everyone necessarily wants to play with it on. It does change a little bit about the strategy or how you play. But it is kind of something that's existed, so you're going to have that as an option as a case-by-case basis in the lobby for multiplayer and skirmish matches. So that's, I think, one of the great changes, and that's one of the things is we are listening, we are there. Everyone in the community, like, please do keep your feedback, please do keep your suggestions, your bug reports, all of this coming in. We might not hop up and immediately say, hey, we're looking at this, or hey, we're fixing this right away. We have kind of our own processes, so things do sometimes take a bit of time for us to get things looked into, get an answer for you. But these are things, all of your feedback it is so helpful for us to share with the team, and that's one of the things that both Elliot, myself, and Annie, who's not on stream here, the three of us are scouring for all of this, as well as our friends over at the World's Edge side of this as well. So we're all keeping an eye on your feedback. It's so valuable.
The whole team is too. I mean, you guys are doing great, but there's a lot of people on the team that play and are reading Reddits, and they're watching YouTubes and et cetera.
Forums, et cetera,
Forums, and we were talking about this exploit that emerged, what seemed like just a few hours ago. I've been seeing the chat windows popping up from our teams from the team, talking about how we want to tackle this. So when things get raised, somebody's going to see them, somebody's going to track them, and we're going to look at them.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, people want to know things right away, but there are processes. We have to make sure we're doing things the right way. We have to make sure what we're doing doesn't break the game. As mentioned, for example, when we're doing updates to stuff, we don't want to rush to fix something, and then that breaks everything and have to do another fix on top of the fix. We don't want to have this compounding issue. We want to, as a team, make sure we're there. So that is part of that. The in-game player scores, we want to bring those. We saw the feedback for that, as well as minimap adjustments. There's a bunch more you can read as well on the blog post for that kind of stuff. So that's what's going to be coming, or a taste of what's coming in winter 2021 with all of that, including the balance updates Eric went into a little bit more in detail there. Eric, no more details. We've given them enough. They can wait and see the patch notes when those come.
Yes, we'll do. Great plan. Very excited though. We have so many great changes, and Christmas is coming early for Age of Empires 4 players. This update is going to be great. You guys are going to love it. Very excited.
What's the best part? We're going to we try to keep that ambiguous, but I guess we're more hint. Yeah, Eric is your guy. Yes, Eric is your guy, which is also why this may be his last time he's joining us on stream.
No, please.
No, jokes.
I love
jokes
coming
aside,
here.
Eric. No, we love you, Quinn, Zach. We've had a number of folks on, and we're gonna actually get more dev team members on as we continue to go through post-launch and into obviously making sure the game is well supported. But we're gonna have some other devs who traditionally don't join us on stream. Brent, I think me and you have chatted a little bit about
we're gonna try to bring some more people on.
Even the audio team. I know a lot of people have a lot of love for the audio of the game, so we're actually we are working to get them on to possibly talk a little bit about the audio design and the work that went behind it. So stay tuned for that. No promises yet when, but we have talked about it. So
yeah, for sure. I did see...
turns out to be really interesting people? Engineers. You should get some of the programs.
Yeah, we definitely
will. Yeah, we definitely will. There's a number of them that we have to do, but we also have to do our regular community streams. So it's gonna be some process. But definitely Grant and I have started talking about how do we get more of our Relic team as well as World's Edge joining in on to chat more about the technical stuff that went behind the game, as well as obviously important stuff like the balance and the gameplay.
Yeah, and it comes down to as well timing, making sure we're getting people when they're free and when they can join us on stream. We don't want to be like, hey, stop what you're working on right now, come join this stream.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we do to Eric, but...
Yeah.
Eric, stop it.
I love coming on whenever you guys want
Eric, chat's demanding for you, so get over here.
A lot leading into launch, and we do appreciate that.
Yeah.
So thank you for joining us. And I know Quinn's been pretty heavy with the press tour that we've been on for pre-launch stuff. I think today, even just today, you were in an interview. Not going to talk much about it, but the fact that even post-launch we're still fielding a lot of interviews is pretty cool to see.
Yeah, and I did see a bit unrelated to the interview side, but I did see in chat someone asking about the best place to give feedback, and definitely the forums are the best way. It's also great because if someone has similar feedback or you're not sure about something, you can actually search there as well. So we do like, if you have feedback, try to keep it in a thread if one exists. Otherwise, definitely give us as much detail as possible there. You can add screenshots. It's easily searchable for us. It's the best way. Some people do share feedback on Discord. We do read it. It's a lot harder, so we do prefer in the forums.
Any kind of live chat, is really hard for us to track down and collect the feedback.
It's a great way to talk with other people, though. If you want to ask someone are you seeing this, or blah blah blah, all that kind of stuff is fine. But definitely, if you're sending something our way to take a look at, the forums are probably the best and first place you should post that before anywhere else. Yeah.
Also, I read a comment in here. I think we're going to have to patch our roadmap because we have winter and spring, and somebody's like, "Hey, the southern hemisphere, that's super confusing for us."
Yeah.
So all our Australian and Brazilian fans
Yeah.
and everything.
Yeah.
Sorry, well,
Yeah.
we'll
Yeah, no, we talked about it
next time.
like this. We're referring to it from us being in the Pacific time zone of this season's. Maybe it might hurt to put a little asterisk to put a little tongue-in-cheek comment as to why. But yeah, no, definitely something we flagged. Turk on his side. If you guys don't know Turk, Barbecue Turkman, who's also part of the Forgotten Empire's community team, especially flagged that early on. It's like, hey, like you guys know that it's not winter here in Aussie land, right? And we're like, yeah, we understand. So it's
Point.
but yeah.
Point.
Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff coming here in the roadmap. Again, blog post there's so much more detail. We probably don't want to dig into every single thing super deep on here, but one of the things I know people are excited about is the UGC creation tools for mods and similar things like that. So those will be coming in the spring update. You'll be able to create kind of your own stories. You'll be able to do mods, maps, and all of that, which will help expand gameplay further. That is obviously something we want to make sure is in the right state, and we want to make sure that it's ready for everyone when we give it to you. So our team is basically making sure that that's all good for the spring update. And then beyond that, seasons is the big thing. There's going to be a lot more information on those coming at a later date, so we don't necessarily want to dive too much into it here on stream because it is a thing that we want to, again, it will be announced and you'll be able to kind of look more into it, but it's a good way to work over kind of a number of weeks in game to compete and make your way through progress in the seasons for some rewards.
Good stuff. Excited about seeing people playing some high-level competitive matches for that.
Yeah.
Actually, that's a good segue. I was going to actually ask the group, but obviously we saw, and like the dev team was all tuned in watching Genesis, but do either of you guys have thoughts of the tournament and the results and whatnot?
It was. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Quinn.
Well, I was just going to say, I think we'd been asked the questions about esports and whether we were designing for an esport a lot leading up to launch, and I think the answer was that it relied a lot. We had to try and make a fun game and something that people would enjoy watching, and that there was some cool depth. The important stuff about making a game. But that esports are something that would emerge organically. If people liked the game, they would play. The pros would come and play it, and that would emerge. And I think it feels like we're seeing a bit of that. Like there's some really exciting developments and some really exciting gameplay. And I love seeing that, and I think very pleased to see the number of high-level competitive players engaging with the game and giving us feedback and inspiring us with some of their moves and some of their play. And we've seen great memes emerging and a lot of cool videos. So we're all sharing that kind of stuff. It's absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, it's been so cool seeing players from all these different backgrounds and stuff. Like RTS, MOBA, all kinds of games. Those people coming to our game and playing it and loving it is super fun. And just in terms of some of the results, it was interesting to see from the tournament. A lot of people were talking about how strong French was, and we were having a lot of discussions and stuff about it. And so it was very interesting to see the pick rate of French was really, really high, but the win rate of French was not really, really high. Like they really weren't winning a crazy amount relative to how often they got picked. So it was cool, getting to see some of that data and dig into that. And we're still having a lot of conversations based on that tournament of what changes and stuff we need. Probably the biggest thing that we've just been seeing a lot is how often people are making the Springald unit. And the intent of the Springald unit is a unit that counters siege weapons, but we've sort of been seeing that it is more of a generalist type of unit is how it's performing in the game right now, where it's kind of just generally pretty good in a lot of different situations. So that is something in the future we'll be looking at in terms of making it sort of more specifically filling that precise role we had in mind of being anti-siege weapon and not just sort of anti-units, it's just kind of good against units in general. So that's one of the balance tasks we're looking at for the future.
Awesome. I think we're getting pretty close to time here, so I do want to come to both you, Quinn and Eric, one last chance. If there's any final words you want to say, any small, and I say small teases, anything you want to say to the community out there as well as they've been playing? Oh no, do I have to mute Eric and turn off his video?
Yes, you do. Yeah, no, I mean, we're excited. These are, I think there's some great changes in the patch. We're gonna love to see the feedback. I know it says winter, but that's it's pretty cold as we speak already, at least in the north. So might be coming sooner than you think.
Ooh, that's exciting.
Ooh.
That's a good one.
All right, Eric, chat is telling me I have to give you a turn to talk. They're saying let Eric talk, hashtag let Eric talk. So I don't know, maybe we need like a 3-hour live stream of just Eric at some point. But
let him speak.
Your turn, Eric. What do you got to say?
You know what? No, sorry. Before Eric starts, I think what would be kind of cool, and I think we did talk about this, is we may do something post-update to talk about just some of the more philosophy behind it. So stay tuned for that. It is getting into a time where a lot of the dev team members do sign off for the winter break, so we will sort that out. If not, then something early next year. But yeah, definitely, I think Eric would be cool to get you, Taylor, Zach, and Colin if he's willing to jump in and talk a little bit more, or a little round table about just balance in general, right? So
yeah, super cool, totally. So maybe I could leave people with one last note, I guess.
Yes, go for it.
Okay. So yeah, definitely, we're looking at the civs and civs that are on the top versus civs that are on the bottom in terms of win rate and pick rate and stuff like that. So definitely looking at China for doing some buffs in the future. And for 1.2, we have a pretty cool change for the repeater crossbowman, which we're sort of playing with it, and we're looking at our math and our numbers and stuff like that, and mathematically, it had a very high damage output, right? And the sort of role of the unit is it's firing this rapid fire sort of weapon, right? So these bolts, they're not very powerful, but they're shooting a lot of them, right? So we're looking for a unit that would be very weak then against armored units like the man-at-arms at the knights, because their armor is just blocking all these shots, whatever, they don't care, right? But when you're fighting against unarmored things like archers or spearmen or something like that, you should be able to mow them down pretty effectively, right? So we're doing some testing, and we have this sort of unit tester where we can just clash armies into each other and just sort of see what happens, right? And the repeater crossbowman, it was just really underperforming in these tests. And it was kind of confusing why, because it's got high damage, it should be doing really well. And so then we can sort of update the game and then test again, update and test, right? So I was like, oh, what if I increase its damage by 1 more? And it did the same. And I'm like, okay, what if I give it another damage? And it was still not doing that well. And I was like, oh, what's going on with this unit? This is so weird, right? And what I realized in watching these armies fight out each other is that it was just it having more damage. It was just overkilling the other units. It was just firing its whole clip, and it just did so much damage, and it killed the unit, but it kept shooting, at the unit even though it was dead, right? So it's just wasting so many shots. So giving it more damage wasn't even helping, which was crazy, right? Because you're oh, of course, more damage is gonna be better, right? So then basically what we came to with the analysis of well, how do we fix this problem? This is kind of weird, right? And what we figured out is you kind of just need to have more of these units so that they'll, be shooting at a bunch of different targets, and it kind of gets sprayed out sort of all over the place. So what we did to fix the problem was to make the unit cheaper, and make it so that you can build it faster. So it's more kind of like an archer or spearman sort of in terms of the cost of the unit. And then we sort of set the health to be equivalent to those types of units. So it's definitely very fun now to build an army of these repeaters and have them spraying their crossbows at people. So yeah, really excited for that one going in for Chinese in the winter update. So hope you guys enjoy it.
All right. So that was definitely a doozy of a tease. So thank you, Eric. I was
He
asked
said
actually,
real quick. He's like, you had
Real quick, like that was like 5 minutes?
5 minutes. What are you doing?
So
I did
Eric, you're the
have a
reason our
request-
streams run long. It's all Eric's fault.
Yeah. I did have a request internally from the dev team who's watching, because the dev team is actually watching a stream. So there's a number of folks who are. I have a certain individual asking if we can tease a thing called Global Build Queue a little bit. Tease a tiny bit.
You just did. You just did.
Okay. Wait, I'm pretty sure it's in our, it's in our update. So it's not like I've unveiled anything
You want more
crazy.
More tease.
More tease. If not, it's okay. You know what? To be fair, I feel like that could be for another stream. So I will leave that
Look at you,
tease
Elliot.
as is there. But obviously, we are looking into a lot of feedback that's come in. You can check out the roadmap, which I think is !roadmap. We have a number of stuff that we are working on, and as mentioned with the big patch update 1.2 for the winter 2021 update, there is over 100 plus balance changes, numbers and numbers of bug fixes. We've got some UI performance and mini-map adjustments. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of stuff that's coming in for this. So when we get it out there, as Quinn and Eric have teased, a potential early holiday present is what they said. So keep your ears and eyes out on our Age social channels, and we will probably provide an update earlier than the actual date so that you guys can start pouring through it, through all that as much as we can. So keep an eye out. We will announce ahead of time when it's coming out so that people can be aware.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Quinn and Eric, Elliot as well. But Quinn and Eric, it's always a pleasure to have the two of you on joining us. Chat loves both of you. They love having this discussion going on. So thank you for joining us, and we will definitely have you back in the future. I'm sure if we don't, chat would just yell at us. So
we're just gonna get constant spam of Eric. Where's Eric? Where's Eric? Where's Quinn? Where's Eric? Where's Zach? Where's Quinn? Where's Eric? Yeah. And before we leave, I have one final question for Eric. Chat's been wondering. We asked Quinn about his cat's names. What is your plant's name behind you?
What is my plant's name?
Does your plant have a name?
I have multiple plants. I don't know if we can see all of them. And sadly, we're actually missing my favorite plant. I had it hanging up in the old place. You guys will remember. It was above me, and it was like growing down from the sky, like all the way to the ground, and then like out the window.
They thought it was a wallpaper.
Is it weird to name your plants? Is that like a thing people do? Because
people were just asking. Because I think some of the folks have noticed the streams, especially if you've watched Eric on stream and on part of the previous stuff, that you've seen this plant slowly growing more and more. So definitely, people are just interested. And if you don't have a name, it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, maybe like Harold or something. Like a not like a standard name, but
or Zero Empires or anything like that.
I'd start to get creepy.
That would be really. All right. On that note, I think we're gonna wind this up. Wind this down.
Shut it down.
Oh yeah.
Game over. We're done.
I'm gonna get a message from Zero Empire Zach over here. He's like, "What are you guys talking about?" I'll send him your way. Your way over there. But thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. This was the first post-launch stream we've done. Again, we do want to look at doing more of these. We want to also bring on some different craft-focused discussions as well from some Relicans. We're going to try to make that happen. Some of this stuff will be in the new year. Some we'll try to figure out the exact timing and all of that, and we will keep you updated. But in the meantime, again, you can go over to the website and take a look at the roadmap, see what is coming. Stay tuned to our socials. Come join us in Discord. Talk in the forums, all of this stuff. We're around, we're here, we're listening, and we just want to see all of you really enjoy the game. That's what we're here for.
Absolutely. And the game's getting better and better every update. We're adding awesome new stuff for you guys. So very exciting future for Age of Empires 4.
Yeah. All right.
Keep the feedback coming. As Grant said, keep it coming.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, and we will see you next time.
Bye, guys.
All right. Bye, everyone.
See you.